My name is Michael Robert Gaudet, and I'm a long-time resident here at the resort village of Manitou Beach in Central Saskatchewan. My wife Sharon Gibson and I run a little gallery gift shop seasonally called Gigi's Gallery and Gifts, and we've had now, I think this is our 11th year. I'm a long-term artist, lifetime artist really, and I started off my career as a mural painter way back in 1981 with my first significant mural commission at St. Mary's Basilica in Halifax. Generated quite a bit of notoriety, and I thought to myself, well, this is a pretty exciting career path, and so I decided I would stick to it and produce murals at any given opportunity. In 2018, we noticed an ad in the Manitou Matters newsletter that comes out every month, and it said artists wanted competition with Heritage Canada funding to create a work of public art at Manitou Beach to help celebrate our 2019 centennial. So I took a look at it and realized that the cutoff date for submissions was 1 week from the day we saw it. And I thought, well, there's no way I can create a full-blown project proposal in a week. And then Sharon said, well, you better beep or get off the pot. So I said, okay, fine, I'll sink my teeth into this. And I called kind of an emergency meeting with two friends of mine, fellow artists, Darrell, Baschak, and Robert Thibault. We decided on the spot that we were gonna tackle this thing and do our best to come up with a proposal. So Darrell came up with the idea of using reflections in air quotes for the concept, for the theme, just the word reflections. And I took that and ran with it. And within about, well, literally 6 days later, I had my first mock-up of a stainless steel project that was kind of a reflection of the environment here at Manitou Beach. And so what do you know, within another week or two we found out from the planning committee that our design had got unanimous approval from the committee, and then it was forwarded off to Heritage Canada in Ottawa. They approved it, and they gave us a grant for 50% of the funding. If I remember correctly, the criteria of the grant from Heritage Canada was that it be an artistic collaboration. So it was a pretty obvious choice in my mind. I mean, I'd known Robert Thibault and Darrell Baschak for years. Darrell is an easel painter, and he's also a contractor. He builds houses from the ground up. So I thought his experience would be very valuable. And Bob, Robert Thibault, bless his soul, he's actually, he passed away about 3 months ago after a battle with cancer over the winter. Anyway, he is a master fabricator. He created the frame for the stainless steel that could be assembled in his shop and then disassembled, taken outside and reassembled. So the actual infrastructure of the whole thing is pretty much nuts and bolts. It's not welded together. There's parts of it that are welded, but the actual panels themselves are bolted and with stainless steel nuts and bolts onto the frame. So that was a bit of genius engineering on his part. And it's you know, very, very fine tolerance. There are basically hairlines between the panels of stainless steel, which range from about 5 by 10 to about 4 by 8 and some smaller panels and laid out in a brick pattern. But when you go look at that, you'll never see the lines between the panels. They're just that precise the way he built it all. So, and Darrell contributed in a big way by lining up all the various trades that would be required in order to install it. Basically, what we had in mind was cutting out many shapes in the stainless steel with a CNC plasma cutter. So basically a robot did most of the work of the cutting out, which we had to create a drawing and then have it converted to a vector file to feed the computer, which really worked out well. So there's a real technological aspect to it in that regard. So the stainless steel starts off as like it has like a kind of a hazy coating on it, like a protective coating. So we had to go with about 7 or 8 different grits of sandpaper to bring it up to a high mirror-like finish. So now the thing is up, and it not only does it reflect everything in front of it, i.e. the clouds, the passing cars, the sky, the landscape, the green amphitheater and all that gets reflected in it, but also the holes, the shapes that are pierced with the plasma cutter, they show through the spaces the other side of the lake, and they actually echo the shapes of the opposite side of the lake along with water and clouds. you'll see that there is a line that goes all the way across, unbroken line in the steel. And this separates the top, the hills from the reflection, which are shown in the cutout steel voids. And now we call this the sweet spot, because what it does is it lines up perfectly with the base of the hills on the other side of the lake. And like, again, on a still day, you'll get the reflections. So the hills and the reflections in the water literally color in the mural through the cutout voids. So it's like a reflection of its natural environment. It reflects everything in front of it. And you know, just to push the metaphor a little further, it offers people the opportunity to simply to sit, relax, and reflect on their lives. I was initially diagnosed with chronic renal failure in actually 1979, and when I was living and working in Toronto. And I went into emergency dialysis at Sunnybrook, and then within 7 months my brother donated a kidney, which lasted for over 34 years. It's a record, a longevity record in Western Canada. However, the 34 years did come and go, and I ended up back on dialysis in 2014 at St. Paul's here in Saskatoon. And after 5 pretty grueling years of dialysis, I finally got a call from Dr. Shoker at St. Paul's that they had a kidney for me. After 2 kidney transplants, the first in '79 and the second just a year ago in 2019, I've got renewed energy. The contrast between being on dialysis and having a transplant is pretty remarkable. I mean, I kept working all throughout the 5 years on dialysis, on painting, and even a couple of pretty giant murals, actually, one for Young and then one for Tisdale. Actually, I think the one at Sacred Heart in Saskatoon was created just when I was beginning dialysis. Anyhow, the contrast. You go from feeling like you're pretty washed out almost every day on dialysis to feeling pretty re-energized and pretty mentally alert is the big thing. Is you have your mental acuity back with kidney function. You almost forget what it's like after 5 years of feeling kind of foggy-headed. But now, thanks to the generous family and the donor who signed his donor card before he passed away in 2019, I now have the chance to once again live a full, rich life without having to rely on going to Saskatoon 3 times a week for dialysis. So it's a huge improvement. When I was 21 years old in Toronto, I was in Sunnybrook Hospital receiving life-saving dialysis therapy because I came very close to dying when I was 21 years old of chronic or end-stage renal failure. During the time I was in Sunnybrook, I decided, you know, you don't have forever. So I thought I had rafts and rafts of handwritten notes from over the years that I'd always faithfully kept. Either incidences that happened to me or people that I met or projects that I worked on. I just hand wrote notes. So I thought, okay, I'll go buy myself a laptop. And while I was on dialysis, I started to transcribe all my handwritten notes. And then within about a year, I had that all done. I had about 5 or 6 people, including my mom and my wife, proofread all my notes, and they found copious amounts of typos and grammatical errors and everything. But we pulled it all together within another year, and then within about 9 months after that, I had my first copy proof in my hands. It takes a lot of work to create a large-scale mural, of course, but when it comes to writing, well, transcribing, editing, proofreading, and publishing a book, it is exponentially more time-consuming and exponentially more challenging than anything I'd ever done before, but also exponentially more rewarding. I mean, what a thrill it was to hold that book in my hands for the first time. And so the book is called Dancing with Rejection, A Beginner's Guide to Immortality. And so the second book, called A Work in Progress, The Life My Brother Saved, started when I was once again on dialysis. And I thought to myself, again, you just don't know how much longer you have if you're going to even survive this long enough to get a second transplant. So it was really, you know, sometimes you have this getting around to it mentality, But I thought, nope, you can't afford that. You got to buckle down and get this second one done as well. So I did the same thing all over again. It's a little longer, a little more intense, brings us up to date, back probably up to about 2012 or 13. And both of these books are memoirs, and as well as people I've encountered over the years that were very interesting in my life. And so the second book has a photograph on the cover of me way up high, 5 levels high on a scaffold, putting the finishing touches on the mural at Sacred Heart in Saskatoon, a work in progress. I won't promise anybody that reads it that they'll be able to become a mural painter as a result, but it's for sure encouraging that you can follow your own path and follow your own dreams and make something of it. You know, it's not the easiest way to make a living, but it sure is rewarding when it works out. And I think these books really highlight the joys of living a creative kind of alternative lifestyle as a mural painter. Everybody that tries to make a living as an artist has their bleak moments. It's not all a bowl of rose petals. But if you persevere with your dreams and do what you love, then well, this is kind of an obvious cliche, but you never work a day in your life. I mean, it's all enjoyable. Challenging and maybe even physically grueling sometimes, but always ultimately very enjoyable, and you get a very, very high level of job satisfaction when you can put the final touch, sign off, and you're on to your next thing.
If you have program ideas that you'd like to see on Max TV Local On Demand, write us at max.local@sastel.com.